Local and international newspaper headlines for the day with in-depth analysis from seasoned professionals. Start your day the right way on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Start your day the right way on 99.3 Nigeria Info every day of the week. We're here with you, and it's time to look at the stories and make it to the front pages today. We stay with the front pages because the biggest stories are there, and we go across the papers. On the table on this side, I got the Guardian, the Vanguard newspaper, the Nation, as well as the Daily Independent, and I am Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry. Welcome to the program. We have the Daily Trust also. The Punch is here, Daily Sun, as well as the Blueprint newspaper. Olojede joins us this morning in the program. Gbolahan, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
It's been an interesting ride this week, right?
You bet. Today looks like a beautiful, bright day.
Yeah,
not wet yesterday.
Yeah, it was quite sunny later on yesterday.
Yeah, apparently.
Quite sunny.
No, it wasn't sunny. It was
It
hot.
was hell.
It was so hot. I thought my AC was no longer working. It was very hot right after that very heavy rain in the morning. Well, you're welcome, guys. Let's start with the Guardian newspaper, media partner. We're reading this banner headline here. You are sabotaged by dictatorial cabal. Who says this? Ex-VP warns Nigeria against self-destruction. Buhari APC hail ruling, PDP, CUPP, others kick. If you don't know what this is about, you must have visited Pluto yesterday. Well, it's broken down better on the front page of the Vanguard. Presidential poll tussle ends as Supreme Court dismisses Atiku's petition. There are some writers here in the Vanguard. Verdict part of our democratic challenges, says Atiku, vows to keep fighting for Nigeria. Discard all disruptive agenda, APC urges PDP. Atiku. Buhari lauds Atiku. PDP says matter now closed. This is from the Vanguard newspaper. Certainly, this is the banner headline across all the dailies today. I'm certain. The Nation also has this. Atiku, end of the road. PDP's candidate appeal lacks merit, says Supreme Court. Atiku, I'll keep fighting. Buhari says it's time to move on. Daily Independent, presidential election, mixed reactions as Supreme Court dismisses Atiku's appeal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 riders. Wow. Let me get ready. Buhari excited. Lawan asked him to carry Nigerians along. Judgment revalidates president victory, says APC. Ruling on Buhari's victory for democracy. That's coming from Gbajabiamila. PDP expresses shock, awaits response behind verdict. Nigerian judiciary sabotaged, undermined, claims Atiku. Final judgment comes from God. Second us with that one. We're not surprised with the ruling, lawyers are saying.
On the front page of Daily Trust newspaper, you find similar headline. The Punch has similar one. Daily
everywhere.
Trust, you just find them.
Well, what I'm surprised about is that some people are surprised.
Why shouldn't we be surprised?
Because right from the beginning of this, we have had prominent lawyers who have said the burden of proof required to overturn this kind of election is too onerous. And that there is not much that would change at the end of the day. But I think the system still gained a lot. I was in support of the fact that in spite of those kind of commentaries, Atiku should still have gone to court, which he did.
It's a democratic process.
It's a democratic process. And then we were able to address a few issues. You know, the main petitions that he had, the trial, the tribunal, the appeal, it was an appeal court, right?
Right.
Yes. They went into each of those petitions and dealt with them one after the other. And I believe that they were setting precedent, which is more or less like writing laws in those specific areas where they touched on. When those matters come up in subsequent elections, the court will refer to how it was decided in this particular case. You know, so I think the legal system gained from the process. Having said that, Atiku has said he will continue to fight. Of course, as far as the court process is concerned, that is the end of the road.
Yeah.
But his fight should now be in the area of push for the relevant laws that will enable our electoral process to be smoother.
Is it always appropriate for our politicians and even Nigerians to see the court as a body, an institution that cannot be influenced? If a ruling goes against us here in Nigeria, then the court are the bad guys. If it's for us, the court
they've done well.
are the good guys.
Yeah.
So really, and I'm saying this because if you look at some developed countries, some advanced countries, they regard the courts. They don't
the sanctity.
Whatever the court says, they hold on to it and says, well, it doesn't work out this time. We'll try again next time.
Correct. And that is why, by virtue of what you call the judicial precedent, the court actually make laws by those pronouncements.
Right.
When they make a decision, it becomes the way to decide in
Right.
subsequent cases. So, but for us as Nigerians, what the pattern, honestly, has been, especially in the political space, if it is in my favor, then the court has done well. If it is not in my favor, the court has not done properly well. Yeah, I've not done the proper thing. It shouldn't be like that. Let's be clear that the judiciary do not live in Pluto. They are part of the same society.
Absolutely.
And whatever are the ills of the society, we'll touch on them as well. So our effort to continue to sanitize the system must be an ongoing one, such that the ordinary man knows that when I go to that court, I will get justice.
Right, let's move this up and see our next story from the Vanguard newspaper. Alleged 2 billion naira fraud. I opened $Naira accounts for Mena. This is the witness speaking here from the Vanguard newspaper. It's also on The Nation. Mena paid 3 billion naira, opened 12 accounts in my bank, says witness. This is aptly progressing, and you can find this on some papers today also.
Yeah, I think that's like the beginning of this, and you're not going to have. There's nothing wrong in opening an account.
No.
But I believe they are setting a stage for some subsequent the discussions that are coming up. So we open accounts. We open 12 accounts.
Yeah.
So they're just setting up the stage. It's an interesting matter that every Nigerian would like to see to the very end. With Mena has been in court before.
Look, this has been dramatic. This has been the maybe not the most dramatic corruption case ever. Well, this is the same person that was declared wanted, and nobody knew where he went to. Nobody could actually see him, and people were wondering how powerful could Mena be? How powerful is this individual? And there have been divided opinions as to exactly why. Maybe it was facing some kind of witch hunting, because a lot of people think that he might have exposed some people that have been involved in the past in pension scam and everything. And he himself, I mean, if you must come to equity, you must come with clean hands.
Definitely.
So he himself is being tainted. Could this have been that Mena is not playing ball again? That's why some people are after him.
What kind of ball could Lee continue to play?
He claimed that he actually sanitized the pension system in Nigeria.
We will find out now.
That's why the case is in court.
The case is in court now. We're going to find out, for example, these 12 accounts. What were they for? In whose names? And why did they open those 12 accounts? By the time we dig deeper, the case will become clearer to everybody. So it might be a witch hunt. It is true. But they cut through the process. The investigators have done their part now. So the court will look at those evidences and will be able to make a decision. Nigerians are interested in this case.
Yeah. And we have to trust the court to do the best. This is the first witness put forward. And this is a witness from UBA, a staff of UBA, Mrs. Myro Mohammed. That's the first witness of the anti-graft agency on this case. So, I mean, it's still a long way to go.
It's a long way.
This is, I mean, witness number one. So you can imagine how long this is going to take.
And I think a comment on that part also, just on the anti-corruption, on the corruption one, because you mentioned the fact that somebody literally disappeared. They couldn't find him. See, we need to move that fight to prevention. When people have access to billions, I'm not saying he has, or is the case in court, but when people have access to billions, they can literally, they are unreachable, they are uncatchable. Putting them through the court system and getting something out of it is most difficult.
So they have that enormous resources
Exactly.
at their disposal.
So it is extremely costly to want to catch people after effects. We may not. There are so many people that we're still chasing around now. We can't even lay fingers on them because of the enormous resources at their disposal.
My question and my worry always is why we don't strengthen our capacity to reduce corruption.
Prevent.
I mean,
Prevention is where we need to
the
move
stress and the amount of time and resources that the country then spends to prosecute. If we have those structures in place, that makes it pretty difficult. In many of these places, institutions, they refuse to use technology, which would have been easier. They keep turning things around the tables. But I mean, these are systems that would help us prevent. Just
And
prevent
that's
it.
Imagine that we still recovered Abacha's loot, part of Abacha's loot, in 2019. Abacha died when? 1998 or something.
I won't be shocked if there's more.
There are definitely there will be more.
Correct me if I'm wrong. All these prosecutions, all these legal cases, Nigeria is spending money.
We're paying.
Yeah, we are.
We're paying for these things.
Will a lawyer leave his chamber to go and run your affairs?
For free.
For free. Why?
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
So by the time we're done getting these monies back, we've
And
spent
some
a
of
lot
them,
of it
for
prosecuting.
example, there have been rumors about people like Desiani and all that. We've not even. Let's leave them. Let's leave them matter.
Yeah, let's leave it and move it up. But we are still staying with the courts.
Yes.
Court Ambode here on the front page of the Nation. Court halts Ambode's probe. House bars lawyer. I'll be reading the detail for you in a moment. Just hold on. On the front page of the Daily Independent, court holds former Governor Ambode's probe by Lagos Assembly. It's also reported by the Vanguard. Ambode's probe, court orders Lagos Assembly Speaker to maintain status quo. Let's see page 44 here. I'm wondering when they say they barred the lawyer. Which lawyer? Okay, here we go. And Ikeja High Court yesterday ordered the Lagos State House of Assembly to maintain status quo in the ongoing investigation of its former Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode. I'm trying to move this on. The court had on Tuesday ordered Oyetibo, that's Ambode's lawyer, to put the respondents on notice before hearing all applications. So, well, I'm looking for that part where the lawmakers, I can't find it. Okay. Committee bars ex-governor's lawyer. Okay, just I'll find it.
Well, apparently status quo, the court has ordered that they maintain status quo, and I think it's good for both parties. Yeah. But the injunction will expire. So whatever will have happened within that window of time is what will determine how we'll proceed after the injunction expires.
Right.
But it would be nice that we don't just make things like this a political issue, that the citizens get to know exactly what played out, and if there are infractions for which there are prescribed punishment, that those punishment do happen, and if there are also abuses by the assembly, that we find a way to stop those kind of abuses.
Right.
That those are my concern as far as this matter is.
Okay, the interesting part of this story from The Nation is that Ambode stated that in continuation of deliberate misrepresentation of facts on the issue, the House falsely claimed that an invitation had been extended to him to appear before the committee, but that he failed to honor the invitation. He said the House committee had indeed, and indeed the entire members of the House had already adjudged him of having committed wastage of public fund by procuring the buses in question. But he said it was obvious that the lawmakers were biased against him. He said, let's move it forward. Ambode's lawyer, there was a committee sitting, that committee sat, and Ambode's lawyer, according to this report, was barred from coming into the committee room. The lawyer, Mr. Lani Robele, from the chambers of Mr. Tayo Oyetibo, counsel to Ambode, protested that they were not allowed into the committee's meeting.
Which committee? The assembly.
The assembly
committee
right.
looking into the matter.
It's also possible that if the assembly wants Ambode to come and it sends a representative, you see this all the time, and they will say, no, we don't want a representative. We want you right here at this committee sitting. That happens from time to time.
Indeed. I guess only time will tell, like you said earlier. It's only a matter of time because the court has adjourned that suit. So when the court,
I say an interesting case in it, though.
Right.
Yeah, the bit about the fact that there was an appropriation bill in which they inserted a clause.
Yeah.
And then that thing was passed into law. That's when
Yeah.
it became an appropriation law. Now, do they have the right to have inserted something like that? If they don't have it, does that
Then
invalidate the
when
law?
was it inserted?
It was inserted.
Was
and
it inserted before they approved
it
the
was
money?
before. It was before they approved the appropriation bill.
This is going to be
So
very,
it's-
very,
it's
very
gonna be
interesting. This will be
yeah.
about attention to details, right?
Indeed.
Well, I believe they were all in the know. It wasn't as if it was a backdoor insertion.
Right.
It wasn't.
Let's look at a similar headline, not in court really, but has something to do with the court. Gunmen abduct appeal court judge, kill police orderly in Benin. That's on the front page of Daily Sun newspaper. Similar headline is here on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Gunmen kidnap another Edo judge, kill orderly.
The Nation, the Daily Independent, and the Guardian also have that story.
Well, it's not funny because that would be like this. That would be the second judge in about,
Yeah. In
about
just
2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, the first one has been released. How was it released?
We don't know.
We don't know. Because we don't know, this thing will continue.
Yeah.
There is this is criminality. Kidnap is criminality. And if all we do about this criminality is pay ransom, the person gets released, and we're
And
waiting for the
everything is
next
hush,
kidnap.
hush. Yeah.
Everything is hush hush. Sometimes the police will say he has been rescued. The relations will say they've paid ransom.
Right.
It has become an established business.
It's an industry right now.
It's an industry. And if we don't deal with that, and I honestly, I wonder why at top level we're not speaking to that big elephant in the room. How are people getting released and we're not getting these criminals?
Oh,
Are we
yeah.
unable to get these criminals? Is the police unable to actually get kidnapped victims out? Do we have the capacity to get them out without the families having to pay the ransom? Can we actually do it?
I may be wrong. Well, I've heard some people say things like, even when you get there, the police will say you better, you know what to do.
Find your way.
These things are difficult. You need to find your way. And once things come to what goes to the mind of the relation is, I don't want this guy to die in the custody of those kidnappers. So they start arranging money.
Isn't the best way to solve this to strengthen the police to be able? The
The
question is,
best
do they
way-
have the
The
capacity
best
to
way
actually
to
do
solve
it?
it is to ensure that impunity about it is stopped. We must arrest them and let us know, because there are numbers about arrests. I remember listening to the VP talking at the police conference, talking about kidnap. But won't it be interesting to have, the guys that kidnapped the last judge that we're talking about, these are the guys. Let's see them.
They
Let's
are now in
know them.
court.
They are now in court. Let's even be able to follow the process through to conviction. But everything goes, once the victim is out,
That's the
end of the story. We're waiting for the next one.
Right.
This is not the way to move forward. And this is judiciary for that matter. So even if someone has a court in case, he probably can go and kidnap the
And
judge.
these judges certainly would have gone through trauma. So is there post-trauma counseling before they start sitting on cases again?
He saw his own orderly being killed.
That's
His
traumatic.
orderly was killed. So what would have gone through his mind is, I could also have been killed.
Yes.
It's just because we are the high value target for the money. That's why they didn't kill him.
So do they go back to work just weeks after? Is
They-
anyone looking at their
How
stability,
to cancel them,
counseling and getting them ready for work?
Whatever mental health.
They are
attention
sitting
they
on
may
important
need.
cases.
Yeah, I hope that happens. I hope.
It's really a tough nut to
It's
crack. really.
worrisome.
It is. It is. Let's move on to our next headline this morning, an interesting one. And it's from the front page of the Punch newspaper. Minimum wage. National state councils meet on negotiations Tuesday. Minimum wage. National state councils meet on negotiations Tuesday. It's on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Let's look at what that story is all about. The Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council, which negotiated the consequential adjustments on the new minimum wage, will on Tuesday meet with state councils over negotiations with state governors. The secretary of the JNPSNC, Alade Lawan, who disclosed this in an interview with Punch on Wednesday, said that members of the state councils will be trained on how to approach negotiations with state governments.
Okay, since the negotiation is going to the states now, right?
It's going to be very interesting.
So the federal people want to train the states
Yes,
on how to deal with government.
Yeah.
Yes.
So by the time the training is over, then they can start to negotiate with the
How does
with
this?
the
How
state.
does it come across, really?
It looks like something, number one, that will not happen this year. The federal
At
government has
this
said
rate,
it's
yeah.
all will happen by December. It gives the deadline of December to sort it. But for the states,
And backdated to April.
yeah, backdated to April, but for the states, the truth is, I don't think anything will happen this year. Apart from states that are ready, and can get cracking.
States
But
that
for
are
most of
still
the states-
crying about bailout funds being removed.
So it seems as if, let's see how we can manage to drag this thing into next year. New money, more VAT, whatever. So
This
what
is going to be
happens.
very interesting, and you can trust Nigeria Info. We'll go across the state and bring you gist about how the negotiation.
It's actually not going to
Good.
be interesting.
Well, it will be interesting to watch.
Well, it's news, so it will
It
be
is
interesting.
news. It will be interesting to watch, but hey, it's going to be a very tough one for labor leaders across the state to negotiate on the table. Sad news here. Former Lagos Governor Johnson dies. Mobolaji Johnson. This is reported across several dailies today. Sanwo-Olu mourns from the Nation newspaper.
May so rest in peace.
May rest in peace.
There's another headline here. Interesting, as a matter of fact. POS agents slam 50 naira charge. Operators
I've been
protest.
waiting.
That's on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Let's just take a sneak peek into that story on page 25. It's almost a full-page story here, as expected. It says agents, banking service providers are protesting the introduction of the 50 naira charge imposed on individual transactions above 1,000 naira carried out by merchants in the country. Now, some of them who spoke with Punch said the volume of electronic payment carried out daily had reduced drastically as a result of the new policy.
It will.
Even if it is out of protest, people will reduce it.
It will.
I saw someone who was saying he stopped buying fuel with his card because
I made that decision yesterday
they
myself.
were asking for the.
You know what
50
they did to me? So they were asking me to pay extra 15 naira. While we're talking about that, the guy just said, okay, how much do you want to buy? I told him, and then he sold the fuel short of 15 naira.
Yeah. So you see, the merchants are not willing to take on that charge, so they will rather pass it over to the final consumer. Now, how does that sit with financial inclusion?
It's
or
so frustrating.
cashless policy? We're not thinking through most of these things. That is what I feel. We want people to use less cash. We want more people to get on the banking platform. Then we start introducing charges such as this 50 naira. Apparently, this has been driven by the revenue thing. But this our revenue thing. It's not going to be addressed this way. We really have to sit down and plan. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. Otherwise, if you pull it from here, you will leave some other trouble at the other end.
What I see happening is people then going back to the banks, withdrawing. Because I thought yesterday, okay, how about I withdraw enough money for the week? I don't like carrying cash. Okay, how about I start going to my bank, use my bank's ATM to reduce? Because if I calculate how much I spend on withdrawals from other ATMs in a week, and then I go to the filling station and I have to pay extra money. So how about I go to my bank's ATM and have enough cash for the whole of the week? So
Be careful.
I don't like it. It's a bad idea.
Again.
But if I'm thinking about it, others are.
Absolutely. And Gbolahan, the most important thing is the essence of people making monies available to the banks to do business. Because people, like Wemimo said, will rather they have their monies
With them and spend it at their pace.
We have to think through all these things.
We have to. We need to go now. Thank you all for joining us on the front pages. We see your comments on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Thank you all. When we come back, it's World Cities Day today, and we're asking the big question: is Lagos a city?
Yes.
Is it even close to a mega city? What should a city look like? What facilities should a city have? That will be the conversation for the next 1 hour, right after the break. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back shortly. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I am Sheriff Quadry.